This perhaps will be my last video because with 19 plus witnesses on record, and they might take those videos down, they are covertly harassing me and they're drugging me in various places, including where I was forced to write these notes because they spray pieces of paper. Forced to write it on this receipt. Burger King today at it's July 2019, okay, July 11th, Thursday, at 10:07 a.m. I bought a meal like I usually do, starving because I'm drugged at many places. I kind of went to this place, okay. They put some drugs in my system. They change my speech and trigger the parts of my brain that make me sound like I'm afraid or something, because part of my argument is masculinity. This is a pharmaceutical state. But before we get into this further, let us kill the idea that there's something wrong with me. Number one, okay, America is a place that's ruled by a corrupt person who has been accused of raping 24 women, right? Donald Trump. Okay. Now, even if he was lying, this is a country where people come together to sabotage men, sabotage white privileged men at that. Okay, people who have a strong support network, who have lawyers, fancy lawyers, people who destroy other people's lives with their despicable worldly power. Okay. So either way you look at it, innocent or guilty, it proves my point. It is established. It's open and shut. This is a corrupt nation where people get together to sabotage people. Open and shut. People historically hate black people in this country. I'm the son of a brain surgeon who married a white woman, okay? And he came here during the late 60s. So he came here during a very racist time in this country's history, which is still a racist time, mind you. And he married a white woman, okay? And they're both doctors. There's an overwhelming amount of evidence that suggests that I'm a very talented and gifted person, as I've beaten people on record with sparring, with superior mental prowess and mental clarity. I have constantly made my case magnificently to the point where I expect them to sabotage my videos to make it seem like I'm even more crazy than their drugs them drugging me is an attempt to make me look. It's very simple. So we have to look at this thing. Right? Schizophrenics simply do not have the problem of thinking they're being drugged everywhere they go. I mean, I've never heard of this in all my research, thousands of sources into mental health. This simply doesn't occur. They're paranoid that the government is out to get them? Yes. Do they eat food and then say it's drugged when they have some kind of change of state of mind? No. Can they set the stage and sort of make up cases and plant people like mental health historically does? Kind of cook the books? Yes. Is this expected when these arguments are made? Yes. Do they have a history of on-record intelligence agencies supporting propaganda campaigns using mental health? Yes. So for me not to consider these things is like going to Mississippi, walking into a Klan meeting, and expecting some sort of assistance from them, and not factoring in their political motives, okay, their social motives, okay, their racial motives, their sexual motives. It's stupid. It is stupid for a black man in 2019 to think that mental health is going to give him a fair shake. I go as far as to say, even if he's mentally ill, it is stupid for him to go to them, because they may as well all be in the Klan. When you look at their abhorrent history and the history of non-consensual experimentations, the history of drapetomania, they used to say that runaway slaves were mentally ill. And what we see here is history repeats itself as I'm basically running away from the cultural, social, and psychological plantation of the state, which is very much privileged, white, racist nonsense. Right now, there's a bunch of facilities in Arizona and Texas, etc., where little children are being abused. Little children are being sexually assaulted by people who are authority figures, Border Patrol, law enforcement, okay? There is nothing these people can say to justify the history of this nation and what is currently going on. They do not have the moral high ground, and their propaganda campaign has nothing to do with upholding a high moral environment, a highly moral climate. It has to do with their values. If you are too evil to kiss their ass, you're thrown under the bus. If you're too moral to kiss their ass, you're thrown under the bus. This is a eugenic nation. Sexual sadists. On record, Epstein, Allison Mack, Weinstein, on and on. All these guys bragging about sexual immorality, pleading guilty. Found with evidence. Human trafficking, sex trafficking. These are the people who control society. Okay. So you got to ask yourself, is life worth living when they say it is illegal? Okay, this is what they're really communicating. That it is against the rules, the social rules, if you will, for one to have love, for one to be a real Christian, for one to connect Christianity to martial arts, even though in Exodus 18:3, Jeremiah 24. I'm going to have to correct that in the picture. Okay. I say God is a warrior. God is a warrior. Hebrew is an Afro-Asiatic dialect. Amos 9:7 says, aren't you the same as the Ethiopians, O children of Israel? Okay. It's open and shut. Look at where they are. Israel is right by Egypt. Look at the pharaohs on the pyramid. All throughout Egyptian history, we have these dark-skinned people. You think the people living right next to them, okay, magically had no semblance of mixing? It is stupid. Yes, Indo-Europeans came from other places. No, Semites are not Indo-Europeans. They are dark-skinned people that lived in the desert for a long time, not the sea people that migrated down from Europe. It's open and shut. Boom. Okay? What we see is America has a long history of hanging black people and persecuting them using psychiatry and saying they're crazy if they insist on this truth. Even though you have a Martin Luther King Day. So what we see basically is the Semites are true to their name. They are part or half black, Afro and Asiatic. Later on, we see the injection of European DNA into this thing, like we saw the injection of Semitic DNA into Egypt. This is key here, because this is why they're doing this. You have every reason to believe they're doing this, and you have 19 witnesses that testify that they're doing this. Now back to the drugging, okay? They're drugging me everywhere I go, putting acid or something in my food. I don't really know what they're doing. It could quite possibly be that they're remotely doing it. This country has a long history of experimenting with covert ways to sabotage people, to boost their propaganda campaign. During the Cold War on record, part of it was a sports rivalry. My top martial arts challenge makes you an idiot if you don't think that I'm the top martial artist. It's like saying the leopard is faster than the turtle, and a bunch of weirdos are like, no, the turtle's faster, and they're drugging him. Even though the leopard's kind of wobbling, you still know a leopard's a leopard, and a turtle's a turtle. And so it is with my top martial arts challenge. Figure it out. Bill Gates could not beat Mike Tyson in the ring. Nor could some fucking yuppie beat me at martial arts. Black people and other races in the ghetto are too sabotaged to achieve a high degree of proficiency. Most of them don't even do martial arts. They're sabotaged, like Flint. Okay? When you look at the competition, and I studied them for fucking 2 decades plus. I've been a grand champion for over 2 decades. Okay? At one point I offered $100,000 for whoever could beat me in my martial art challenge. I made sure thousands and tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people were aware. They came together and harassed me over this thing. Okay? This is not in my head. If this was an anxiety-based belief, I would start saying, I wonder if it's drug, and I start being very nervous. No, I go there hungry, texting on my phone. One can just tell all my Facebook posts, all my videos, and all the tags and stuff I put on it, that I don't have time to sit there and say, I wonder if it's drugged. I'm pretty much scrambling to do things. And then it's drug. It burns my mouth. It burns my tongue. It burns my throat. And I feel it right here, on the inside. It doesn't take a genius to see that they're drugging me and that they're giving me no options here. I can't move to another place because the glasses, okay? How do I get a job and how do I operate when I can't go out at night without being blinded, okay? They have literally put me here to set the stage for me to die. America's called the New Egypt. There's a pyramid on the back of the dollar bill. The Temple of Set is in San Francisco, and historically, on record, not just conspiracy theory, on record, it is associated with PSYOP units. Michael Aquino, a colonel in the Army Presidio Brace of San Francisco. The Temple is Set, an hour or so away. Okay? There's no way around it. Set. Now think about ontology, the lexicon, etymology, linguistics, phonetics. Do your research into these Latin-rooted languages and where writing is said to come from, Sumer. And you'll start to see how this thing comes together. And set really is words being written down, okay, S-E-T, set. Set the stage. Set up, okay? Set to lure, okay? These people are the continuation of this corrupt culture that settled here and abused people. And people are so afraid of these sniveling betas that they won't openly say it as such with pure truth. They reproduce with them. America is full of people that reproduce with the descendants of the colonists who raped and murdered and abused people, and they accept that same energy. If I had time, I would make you a video with all the pictures of Klansmen and people that look just like them and having the same energy and behave just like them. Okay, they're all over the place. There's not a few racist white people in a trailer park somewhere. The vast majority of white people are racist. The vast majority of minorities are unfair with cultural barriers. Okay, America is an evil, immoral nation where if anyone had even a semblance of morality, they wouldn't be having sex. But instead it's sexualized. There's sex workers everywhere. There's strip clubs. There's drugs. There's drugs, sex, and rock and roll. They're insane. In the news all the time, people come together as groups and rape little girls, in high school and so on and so forth. They gang rape them. Fraternities rape people. They come together as groups. They're sexually immoral. They're evil. It is insane to say the problem is this guy because he tells the truth about this. The problem is the guy they can't beat in sparring because their brain function is inferior when it comes to nature. That is crazy. That is sick. Moral clarity is mental clarity, and one way to show it is martial arts. It is the generation of righteousness. The way I've trained gives away that I have a higher moral value than they do. The way I'm shunned gives away that I have higher moral value than the people around me. How can any woman who is sick of a rape culture shun the most moral person in America? How can they come together and set the stage for me to die? That's far worse than Martin Luther King if they had done this to Martin Luther King. They came together, singled out somebody more moral than Martin Luther King. He said he led his people into a burning house on his way out, and he regretted what he'd done. He set them up to die in America. And America sets people up and they guide people and groom them to help set them up. I did not do that. I am greater than he was. Who cares how many people he reached? If someone raped a bunch of people and said, hey, it's wrong to kill a dog in front of millions of people, does that make them greater than the person who insists on pure morality? No. And neither was Martin Luther King greater than I am. What they are doing is worse than if they had done it to Martin Luther King for that reason. Straightforward logic, no-brainer. There's countless CIA ninnies in mental health that would say that is a sign of delusion of grandeur. That is a basic, common, logical scale that is denied by people because they don't have the heart, the courage, the core alpha zone, corazon, to do the right thing. So now, as they set me up to die, and there's nowhere in Morgan Hill and in most of San Jose I can get something to eat, they sabotage my car, make sure I can't drive far. Even in Santa Cruz, they drug my food and they harassed me as groups. A lieutenant of the Santa Cruz Police Department went on record and said gang stalking is real. A lieutenant. When their own police department says it's real, they're going to turn a blind eye. They're going to let them continue to sabotage me because Americans are sniveling cowards. And instead of owning up to it and having the basic human decency, the basic manhood to correct it, or to stand with me like a man, they will act like sniveling dogs that no decent man, woman, or child should have anything to do with. It is insane to be a part of this culture. It is disgraceful. It is pure evil. I wash my hands of your American bitch. And with nothing but pride and courage and the true spirit of God, I accept my fate. And may the Lord make you suffer for what you have done. Because nobody, after I'm gone, is worthy of connecting to God. No bad tree can bear no good fruit, and no tree that's put up with this nonsense could possibly be good. It is insane to have sex. It is pure evil to have children. And America is part of the core problem of the world. The Lord must hate evil. They are evil. They've been ignoring me for over 2 decades. They are sniveling scum. Burn in hell for what you've done. Burn!